My name is Akil Augustine. I am a host for NBA TV Canada and a producer for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. We currently own the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Raptors, the AHL's Toronto Marlies, and the MLS's Toronto FC. Also a contract with Live Nation for concerts at the Air Canada Centre. Interning is the base element in any success I've had. I started as an intern at I started at Flow 93.5 producing a morning show at 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings that no one listened to, and I had to ride the blue night to get to. Well, I won't say no one listened to it, but insomniacs listened to it. And then I worked at Pound Magazine as a review writer and also a sports writer. Not so much writing though, a lot of office work as an intern too. And then from there I met Cabral Richards and Travis Belcourt, who were hosts and producers at Sportsnet, and they got me inside the door at Rogers Sportsnet at the time, and I became an intern / associate producer, freelance, for J-Zone and NBA Excel. Then the NBA rights were sold to Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, the company I currently work for, so Sportsnet was no longer doing NBA Excel, and MLSE needed a producer that was already familiar with the workings of how the show was done. So I was brought over, because I wasn't working for Sportsnet, I was just a freelancer, I was brought over an entry-level position, and I mean entry, I probably mean really entry. I was making like $50 every week for 60 hours of work. So it was probably like less than $1 an hour if you think about it, but it was what got me in the door, and I then started producing NBA Excel features. And then I moved to the digital side of things. We were one of the first teams ever to do the game in an hour concept and the game in 6 minutes concept. Now those are international from any league in any sport. They're doing them now. So we were kind of trendsetters and trailblazers in that respect. In about 2006 or 7, we created the digital department, or the interactive department as we were called at the time. And I was one of the first hires. That's when we started to do a lot of digital content, original content for the website, and I started hosting that content. From there, about 2.5 to 3 years ago, I was moved into a host position with the big network, Leafs TV and NBA TV Canada. As of right now, I host a daily show, and also I am a sub-host for Gate 5 Live and Raptors pre and post. So it's been quite the journey, but it's been worth it. And the joy is in the journey too, never forget that. I've had lots of mentors. I've had so many mentors. That's one of the biggest things that I believe in. I believe that people, that you can find actual examples of success in your life if you can find those. And I'm not just talking about the guy that makes money. I'm talking about someone who's got a great family life, who has a rewarding career, who's healthy and physically fit. Those are the role models that I was looking for. So I found a few people like that. They kind of got me a holistic view of what success was. But externally, outside of my own social circles, I think one of the earliest and biggest influences outside of the Buddha would be Spike Lee. I think one thing that Spike Lee identified very early was he always knew that there was a black audience, especially for film, and he knew that that audience was not being catered to by the major motion picture factories. So he dreamed up his own vision of 40 Acres and a Mule Filmworks, which is where he gave representations of himself on camera. Black people needed to see themselves in their current status, their homeostasis, their environment, where they are. They need to see that on camera. They need to feel like they were being represented in the public eye, in public consciousness, and I think that's what he started to do. And of course his biggest success had to be 1989's Do the Right Thing, and then the success just kept coming. And for me, just him identifying, because I've read his book, and his understanding of identifying that we need representations of ourselves on camera, we need to see ourselves doing successful things, was something that was important to me, and that's why I kind of do the public speaking and the reaching out, because I know that with what I've done with myself in my career, I'm in the public eye. And so for the young people like myself, because I grew up without, I didn't have that many young black men as mentors, right? People not from my demographic. So I think Spike's recognition of that has allowed me to now recognize that and use my own platform to give the kids like me a representation of themselves on camera, in the streets, in the club, at the basketball court, of success. And that's what I try to put out there. So I'm my own Do the Right Thing movie, but in a different sense. I'm just a representation of them being successful in the everyday world, and that's kind of what I stole from Spike, along with a million other ideas that he's had over the years. And my love of the Knicks. My favorite Raptors moment was I believe it was the '95 draft when it was held at the Sky Dome, currently the Rogers Center, but to me it will always be the Sky Dome with the Jumbotron. And I was a huge Tyus Edney fan. Tyus Edney, of course, a collegiate basketball player for the UCLA Bruins. He played with two twins by the name of Ed and Charles O'Bannon. That year, Ed was probably, I think he won Player of the Year in the NCAA, so coming into the draft, he did probably. And I believe, I wanted the Raptors to draft Ed O'Bannon simply because of the Tyus Edney connection, and they drafted David Stoudemire, and I booed viciously. I think the most I've ever booed in my life, except when Vince hit that 3 on the ACC floor. But I booed, and the funny thing is, David Stoudemire ended up being a huge influence in my life, the whole Mighty Mouse concept, and he's another small guard that made his way in the league, Rookie of the Year, one of the best Raptors of all time, and I think that's probably my Raptor moment. Just the fact that I booed a guy that's going down in the books is one of my favorites. So, there's no good or bad, it's just what you make of it, right? Yeah, definitely. My top list of Raptors, I'll start at 3. David Stoudemire, definitely. Number 2, you have to respect what this guy's done with the game of basketball, what he did for the game of basketball, and the fact that guys like Kevin Durant and all these young superstars recognize that they wanted to play in Toronto and they wanted to be just like this guy because he was a tour de force when he touched the NBA hardwood, and that's Vincent Lamar Carter. But number 1 for me, I like tough, gritty guards. If anyone's ever played me on the court, they know I'm not the best basketball player, but I probably work the hardest out of anyone that's on the court. And I think that I got some of that from Alvin Williams. I think Boogie was one of the baddest to ever put on the purple, and I love him to death. Especially now that I have a close personal relationship with him away from basketball because he works with the team and I get to interview him and just interact with him every once in a while. And he's kind of the same kind of guy. He's a great guy. And to have watched someone growing up and admire them, and then to now be grown and interact with them and still have that same admiration for someone, shows a quality and kind of person that guy is. So Alvin Boogie Williams is number 1 on the Raptor hit list. Favorite basketball player in all-time history, I'm going to go ahead and say Akeem Olajuwon. When I came to Canada, one of the first gifts my dad gave me was an Akil Olajuwon jersey. At the time, his name was Akeem. So there's a little alliteration and identification with the names. My name Akil, his name Akeem. And then from there, it was just, I don't know, he was boss. He bossed up every night. He had some of the best footwork. I think he's the greatest center of all time. Maybe not numbers-wise, but I just think he's the greatest center of all time because he's one of the greatest shot blockers, he's one of the greatest rebounders, he's one of the greatest defenders. He's one of the greatest offensive players. He's a great leader. He has 2 championships. He's got a gold medal. He's a man of faith. He's made tremendous impact in his community back home. And I can see him walking downtown Toronto because he's got cousins down here, and we've actually run into him by Riverdale Park. So there's like all these little tie-ins and synergies as to why Akeem Olajuwon has become my all-time favorite player. But my favorite current player would have to be the man with the system that works every time, and that's Kobe Bean Bryant, because I just love his pursuit of perfection, his dedication to his craft, and the fact that he's into self-mastery, and that's something I'm very big into, and I believe in self-mastery. And he's trying to become the master of the domain on the hardwood, and I want to be the master of what I do. So I think I've kind of identified with that, with Kobe Bryant. Self-mastery is a big deal to him, and it is to me.